stoners, the gateway drug to mindfulness.
To think that we started this podcast to fight a stigma, only to uncover so much love that we realized that you can't put your energy anywhere but what you want.
Look deeper. Feel more. Tune in.
So much love. The disciplined stoners.
We're not here to distract ourselves.
The gateway drug to mindfulness.
We're here to learn. We're here to grow.
And welcome back to another episode of Disciplined Stoners. I'm your host, Ellevan.
My name is Winnie, and we are the gateway drug to mindfulness. And today, our next guest is an important and established cannabis community member and educator. She is a board member for the Hash Corporation and the Canadian Business History Association. Please welcome Tabitha Fritz.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We
Thanks
finally
for
did
coming on
it.
the
We
show.
finally got you
We've been
here.
talking about this for a long time.
It's been years.
Yeah.
I know.
You've
it has
been like
been.
in my mental vortex for years. I'm finally glad that it landed. You're here in person. Thank you for being here.
And this is the best it's ever been, so
That's
this is
really
great
true.
for
See?
everyone.
Like-
Yeah.
Perfect. Things happen when they're supposed to.
Exactly. This is the best way for people to see your wonderful face. Like that. Finally, we got it figured out. But you're starting to shoot content now, so now it's an easier throw to you. Like, how have things been? You give me, just so for people who don't know of you, lots of people in the community are very excited you're here. I know already, but like, you make some of the finest edibles I've ever tried.
Yeah, why don't you give us a little history?
background.
Yeah, a little
How did this
background
happen?
on.
Sure. Okay. So, first of all, I don't make them. My husband Ari makes them.
Okay.
Very important clarification,
Thank
but
you.
we'll get to it. So, I always have to think about like where to start because your life's just like full of stories. Do you know what I mean? So you're like, okay, which story leads to which one?
Exactly.
But with weed, I guess I start around 2016. So my husband was working in one of the dispensaries in Kensington at the
Okay.
time. I forget which one. Like they were all super illegal.
Yeah. I was probably buying from there.
I'm sure you were. Like we
Yeah.
all were. It was fun. I used to take my baby daughter in there. And
Sick.
people would be like, what's going on? And I'm like,
Nice
she's
people.
a baby. She's not smoking. Don't worry. It's fine.
Yeah, it's for me.
Right, it's
Yeah.
for me. But he was working in one of the dispensaries, and then on I think it was May 27, 2016, there were the Project Claudia raids,
Yep.
Yeah.
right? And so the cops came in, raided everything, shut everything down. And then after the Project Claudia raids, the outcome was that, like, the cops eventually said, like, you can open your illegal shops back up, but you can't sell any 2.0 products because, like, they're made in people's basements, and we don't know if they're flush. So you can sell dried flower, but you can't sell anything else.
Oh, I did not know that.
It wasn't like
Yes.
an officially made
Of course.
announcement.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like the ethos at the time of the cops. They were like, we won't shut you down if you're just dried weed. So as a result, two women in the cannabis community, Sarah Gillies and Lisa Campbell, said, fuck it, we're going to start these green markets, these underground farmers markets for weed, right? And so Ari and I, my husband Ari and I, looked at each other and we were like, dude, like we know how to make edibles and we can do that. And we both have MBAs and we like business. Like, let's do it, right? So we did. We started making edibles. We started with these like Jell-O gummies that were like, they melted all over. They were like not properly cured, right? And so like it took time. Eventually, Ari got like super, super good at making gummies. So he makes these now.
Yes, he did.
And we made like a bunch of other products. We had granola, we had Chex Mix, we had caramel corn, lollipops, cereal bars, so like all kinds of stuff, right? And then I got to every week like stand across the market table from whoever my customer was and talk to them about like, how are you using this product? Like what use cases are you using it for? What outcomes are you looking for? What dosage are you looking for? Like really understanding how they were using edibles.
Collecting data.
Exactly, collecting data. And then I started like actually collecting data because I do have an MBA and like I'm a total Excel nerd. So I'm like, let me collect as much data as I can. And I did. Like every time I had the opportunity to collect any kind of information, I did. And so it gave me like a really deep perspective into the consumer, right? Like this was pre-legalization even. So it was different than it is now, who the consumer was, because we have a lot more consumers now who have, increased their consumption significantly since legalization.
Yeah.
So we, like the two of us, we knew that we wanted to try to get to the regulated market when the chance came. Like, that was always a goal. You can't, like, we've got kids. You can't, like, live your life in the underground all the time, unfortunately, even though it's the most fun place to be, really.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, regulated marketplace is a goal. It was going to happen a year after dried weed was legalized, right? Edibles came a year later. So that gave us a little time to prepare. And then in that time, I started working for a cannabis retailer named Mihi. And they had 30-some odd stores leased across Ontario, but this was during the lottery days. And so they had all of these stores being held on lease, but no licenses, right?
Oh my
and so,
gosh.
like, you burn through money really fast when you're doing that.
Yep.
When you're paying rent and you can't sell anything?
Exactly, right? And so, but like, eventually, and then COVID came along at the end of that. And so then it was really like, forget it. We're all done here. Everybody go home, right? But while I was there, I built their budtender education program. So I got paid to do all this research, find out everything that a budtender needs to know, look at all these budtender education programs from the States, like do a really thorough job, which I've been trained for as like a licensed teacher, as a professional developer, as an MBA. I have like really niched skill sets that allowed me to create really good budtender education programs that like really teach budtenders what they need to know to be successful in helping consumers actually learn how to use weed in a way that works for their personalized needs and outcomes. So I did that, and then COVID came and everything exploded and life totally shifted in, different directions for everyone. And I ended up in my closet with nothing to do and was like, I guess I'll build my own budtender education program. So that's where Level Up came from.
Hello.
Because I was like, I don't have anything else to do. I might as well put this together. So I built that. And then we ended up getting with some investors. So we were able to take Fritz's to the legal marketplace, to the regulated marketplace.
Yeah.
We did that in 2021. We launched our first products. We were the first company to bring to market a solventless edible in Canada. We had the first hash rosin gummy.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. We had the very first one. It was a collab with Hashco, with the Hash Corporation.
Oh, we love that.
It was called It Takes Two to Mango. Very clever. I know.
Clever.
Good. But then, eventually things got so challenging, and I'm not built for a highly regulated world. Like, it's not for me.
I'm
right?
agreeing with you.
Like, you know what? Kudos to you if you like can do that, but it is not for me. And so I found myself really, really struggling, like emotionally, mentally, everything. And in I think late 2022, I believe, I stepped down as the CEO of Fritz's and was like, this is not for me, and gave it to someone else to do. So my husband stayed on making the gummies, and then the board brought in someone else to be the CEO.
That's so cool.
It was just fucking me up, so I couldn't do it anymore.
Good for
It's
you.
the industry is wild itself. I also left the industry in my managerial position in late 2022 as well, and I was just like tired. I'd been in it for 2 years, and it was during COVID, and that just like really took a toll that I don't think a lot of people. I don't think we really have a full understanding of what.
Not for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be a long time.
Yeah.
The inventory on just the immediate is wild when you take energetic account, but
Yeah.
So where did you pivot to after that?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So after that, I was really fucked up. Like, I was really fucked up. Like, for a long, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I did all the things that I said I'm gonna. By the way, I will cry like 4 or 5 times in this podcast.
Good. We love that.
Great. I'm
Awesome.
just letting you know, just
Big-
warning. That was
big
why I
picture.
asked you for that paper towel earlier. I'm like, I gotta have it here just in case I need it.
Wow.
But no, like it really, really messed me up. And I was like, I did all of these things that I set out to do. I achieved my goals. Why do I feel so bad? Like, what is happening, right? And so I sat with it, because everything in my life has always sort of like, the thing that I'm supposed to do next just sort of appears in front of me, and then I go, oh, that's sweet. I'm taking that step. Great.
Totally.
And so for the first time in my life, there were no steps appearing. And I was like, what do I do? Like,
But
I
you
lost
just-
my magic.
But
What do I do?
No, you just played a whole ass game.
And
The
that
universe
was
trying
what I
say,
had
"Take
to
a
learn. I
breath."
had to take a break, right?
I'm not good at that either.
I know there were no steps for me to take because there were no steps for me to take.
Better change something and fix it and control it and
Yeah.
help and give and something, it's like, or else I'm nothing. It's like hard to live with that.
It's challenging,
I
right?
agree.
Like when you have this motor going inside you all the time to like disengage the gears feels like, what
Death.
do I do with it?
Basically, it's
Yeah,
death.
it's
It
really
feels like
hard.
death.
It's hard.
Did
So
you-
that's what I did. I died for a year.
You did.
And I was like, I guess I'll start YouTube.
And it is fucking sick.
I played with it for a while. I don't want to hold this. This is not the microphone.
You had to
Oh,
release
enjoy.
though.
Take your time.
Yeah,
Chill.
take
We're
your time.
session.
Can
I'm that girl in the blunt rotation who's like, fucking pass it. Stop
Yeah.
talking. What are you doing?
I think
So good.
we can all get like that. We got to remind each other. We got to keep each other on track, you know? But
What was that like
chill.
to take your hands off the wheel?
It was really at first it was scary because it was a different state of mind and a state of being than I had ever really engaged in intentionally before. Because like I'm used to just going. Like I like to go. Like I've been put on the earth to go. I have stuff to do. Like let's fucking go. Like don't walk in front of me and go slow. Like move. Right?
it's good
So-
energy.
We're very similar.
and so to be told by my guides, by my intuition, by my inner self that like, no, dude, you're just supposed to sit right now. Like just sit and let everything settle and let the world do what the world's going to do around you. And for now, you're just going to sit here in your house and not have a job and not have anything to do. And you're going to think about why that makes you feel like shit. And you're going to uncover the roots of, your relationship with money. And guess what? You get to do some shadow work.
Because, we realize what we're doing in certain ways when we attach energy feelings to things. That is like money is such a taboo subject for people in the West to talk about generally at all. There's a lot of shame associated with it. Like most people definitely aren't caught up on their own sense of I think organizing finances. Like if you ever get a letter from the CRA or a call, you basically
Burn it!
Yeah, burn it, run away, take a shit, like go kill someone. I don't know what you got to do. I love that. And it's like all this garbage can kind of like pile up. And we're kind of pushing it away. And then when you're given that opportunity to just look at it,
Yeah.
or look past it, find something else and like dissolve that. But you're right, we all have so many, I'm just identifying with you big time with that. It's like we got to do some work here of like why this feeling state happens every time certain subjects come up. And we're pitched as, it's like we were programmed just to think constantly like, you're not enough. It's like there's constantly, you're not enough. And you got to like fucking push. And I don't know. I'm still working through parts of it, but all I know is when I look at it, I release a little bit, and when I get back to the road, there's fresher opportunities that aren't bound by that sort of guilt. Like think about how even like we're talking about like CRA or whatever. They give you a threshold, right? They want society. What is it like 30K, right? Like a year. Don't make more than 30K or we're gonna punish you.
Right.
We're gonna take some from you.
Right.
That's like I realized like since I started doing that as a 16-year, I've always waited like 6 years. I'm with you, burn it, fuck off. Like I'm fucking busy making magic and living my destiny.
Right.
But
Don't you know I'm a cosmic being?
Yo, you are! I know you're tuned into that. I want to get more into, you've been doing your cards and your YouTube stuff, but I appreciate your bravery to say that because it takes a lot to like address those parts of yourself where we don't realize we've been living under that bias. Like you only ever as a Canadian, you reach for 28K and then stop trying because you're like, fucking, I'm going to get, like society's built in a way that you're not supposed to be the brightest, biggest self. And it's like a lot to undo. What was part of your process of that, if I may ask? I don't know if like some of the inner work or like reflecting or...
I'm a planner, so I like literally made a physical planner for myself, and it was a morning. So I like doing this shit in the morning. So it was a page that I printed out and I filled out every morning, and it was like, this is how I'm feeling today. This is what I'm grateful for today. These are the things that I need to get done today, and then I put a space in there with like 3 boxes and lines underneath. And every day I would write down, this is the question I'm asking my tarot cards today. And then I would pull 3 tarot cards and practice interpreting them for myself. Because it was something that when I first picked up tarot, like, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago, and was like, oh, this is a tool that feels really good and familiar. I really like this. I wonder how I can use this. And so for myself, the best way for me to learn something is to experience it and to actually do it.
Yes.
And so I began this practice of every day I would do these things, and I also would pull these tarot cards and give myself a mini reading. And then I had a place at the bottom of the page for at the end of the day I would go back and I would reflect.
Ooh, very cool.
You know, like did this happen? Or I could see what my interpretations were sort of leading to and things like that.
Love that.
So
you met it with action. You met that bit of fear or guilt or whatever with action.
Because I need to go.
And you need to go. But you can do that in a sense of reflecting or receiving guidance. I think a lot of time we think action is like start a new LLC and like go make stuff happen and convince people and get clients and beat the world into submission. Where it's like sometimes the action is inward action.
Right.
And that's incredible that you listened for that guidance and connected to an esoteric tool like the channeling of the information of tarot. What was that like to develop that intuitive skill?
It felt like coming home.
Oh.
To be honest. Like, it was like, oh, like this, it gave me, so there are, I think we all have like parts of experience that naturally come to us. Like, I'm not really a relationships kind of person, right? Like, I'm an introvert. I keep to myself. I have a few very close friends, and like, other people are acquaintances, and like, that's fine. I like that. I prefer that.
Safe little inner circle. Yeah.
It takes a lot for me to let
Because you're
someone
also
get close to
very,
me.
very bright and attractive. Like at the conferences, people like you're very noticeable.
So yeah, and
Yeah.
so I have
But so
to
you're
like,
like-
I have a little bit of
You
a.
have the tier, 3rd tier, 2nd tier, 1st tier.
I wouldn't put it that way, but yeah.
How much
okay.
do you contribute to my piece?
Actually, yes, you're
Yeah,
right. How
not-
much? And it's true. Like, the more you contribute to my piece, the closer I'll let you get to me.
Exactly. That's what the end of that sentence. Often people will think like I mean business, but no. Contribute to my piece.
Yeah, like
because
my
in
inner
here,
peace.
priority number
Yeah.
one. Because you'll. Here's the thing. You'll fuck yourself in the line. I know you understand this stuff of like what you manifest in your reality is more connected to your thoughts than the actual previous matter-based reality.
100%.
So it's like, I'm caught between judging myself in guilt for like, oh, I fucked up my vibration and now I manifested this. Like I'm more tracing what I was thinking and feeling rather than like what I actually did in the 3rd dimension. And to get in touch with that, like what you're doing with your vibration, it's so hard because you want to blame everything on the details, right? It's like, no, it's that fault. And it's like, no, bitch, it's fucking my fault because I felt not enoughness and lack. And then 48 hours later or a day later or sometimes 5 minutes later, you're like, you get that shitty email or you get that shitty
Right.
text saying, fuck. And it's like without beating up on myself, I'm trying to like use that as a reflection to like guide me into like fulfillment, right?
Well, that's what you needed in that moment. That's why you manifested it. You don't think about it as like, oh man, I fucked up and I manifested this thing that I didn't want to. You actually needed that thing.
Let's go.
See, this-
So nothing's bad. It's all a blessing. I
you
can't
need
judge it.
Yeah,
I
you
judge
need
it.
the experience so that you can learn to not judge it. As long as you continue to judge it, you will continue to attract the experience that allows you to engage in the judgment. Until you see it reflected, you will continue to engage in it.
I appreciate you. You just clarified so much. I didn't expect to be guided that you just didn't work on me. You just didn't work on me.
I sometimes have that effect. It
Thank
can
you.
happen.
No, I love that. I feel like, yeah, holy shit. You're right. So when we judge it, fear and love equally manifest.
That's
like
right.
Your focus is like, oh, powerful fuel, fear, powerful fuel, love.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm persistent at accepting everything as a blessing, what pokes its head through won't be such a monster.
Well, it's not a monster. It's all part of you. And as long as you continue to call parts of you monsters, you will feel divided from yourself.
Jeez, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're labeling it bad. Like, this was just yesterday, okay? And I'm really working right now on pivoting the inner dialogue because, like, a few months ago, I was like, I'm pretty negative. Like, it just like hit me for the first time that like I present myself as like a pretty positive person, but like inside the noggin, it's just like shit, like a lot of the time. And I don't tell anybody about it, so it's my dirty little secret, you know what I mean? So I'm really trying to actually pivot my thoughts instead of just pretend to pivot them.
Right.
And
I think awareness is the first step.
awareness is the first step, and then constantly just not like yesterday. Nothing was. I was being stopped. Like I was physically being stopped at like traffic lights, and I was like being stopped. Like there were obstacles in my way to get from point A to point B.
We tried to
which
shoot a
is
skit, and the green screen attacked me.
Yeah, like there was a lot that I was experiencing that I was like, I don't know why I'm experiencing this. Like it could have been an opportunity for me, like, what the fuck is going on? But instead I was just like, everything's working out for me. So if everything's working out for me, this stoplight is keeping me safe. The next stoplight is keeping me safe. And it was really a challenge not to get annoyed and inconvenienced.
Fuck,
you know,
I
it
know.
was really a challenge. But like, I got to, because that shit will take over, and it's nasty. It's like when Spider-Man gets taken over by the goopy ones.
I always loved
Sticks over
that.
his body.
The venom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Jeez. So
It will. It's hard, and like it's a practice, right? To be aware of the monkey mind
Yeah.
and of what it's saying all the time.
And it's so easy to zone out. I remember this podcast has been just like such a blessing for me because we have so many beautiful people like yourself come on and just like help
Blow
us
our minds.
help us through emotions and shit. And like
That's good.
It is. It's fucking awesome.
it's real lifetime work. It's
Yeah.
like, we're like, do inner work, and they're like, prove it. We're like, okay, invite people on who are like in tune and fucking hit us with the facts. Sorry.
No, and you nailed it when you said like awareness is the first thing, because I remember like maybe a year ago or something when I first started like kind of clocking my inner dialogue for the first time. I was in the shower just like beating myself up, like just beating the shit out of myself. And it's not always self-deprecating. A lot of times it's judgmental outwards.
Beating
that I'm
it
also
in the
trying-
shower. Pause.
Beating it in the shower. What? High five.
Sorry.
What's wrong with you too?
And I just was
Where do I
like,
start?
so much. And I just was like, holy shit, what are you saying? It's like I came to myself. I was like, are you seriously, like, you're being so awful? Just relax, first of all. Just relax. What's
Right.
going on?
Take it down a notch.
Yeah, for sure. So the fact that I wasn't even really aware that I had this like kind of evil feeling inside of me that was like, be better, do better, you're not enough. Like just all of this that I didn't even know until I knew. It was bizarre,
Right.
you know? I'm like, how long has this been going on? I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Secret life of your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just like, and we can't speak to ourselves like that.
No. Because that's where everything starts, right? Is with your
Totally.
thoughts.
Yeah. And like, if you're speaking to yourself like that, you're fully giving yourself permission to speak to other people like that. And you shouldn't do that either.
Or at least think about other people that way, which
Yeah.
isn't healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard advice one time that said something like, speak to yourself the way you would speak to your best friend's child.
Oh.
Which is real. And to be honest with you, that is the person who on this planet who I would speak to the most nicely.
Yeah.
Totally.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes I get snippy with my own kid because,
Yeah.
like, she does stupid shit. And you know what I mean? But, like, your best friend's kid, you're not going to be an asshole.
No.
Ever, right?
And you're gonna be caring.
yeah.
And you're gonna be kind.
Right.
You're
because,
kind of like
you want to be
cool
cool
aunt.
auntie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? You get it.
Yeah.
You want to be liked.
Right.
It's
right.
like you don't even care
And
what
also-
you're like to yourself. It's
Cool
weird.
aunt is
Right.
really important in a child's life.
So be your own cool
and-
aunt.
Yeah.
That's your goal. Be your own cool aunt. What would your cool aunt say to you? If you went to your cool aunt and said, like, this is how would she talk to you?
Probably just like, I'm so proud of you. That sounds like an amazing life you've built for yourself. And like, you do you want
Yeah,
this?
sure. I will never pass
And
it.
like, make sure, to enjoy enjoy more.
Oh.
Just
Yeah.
keep joy at the forefront of everything you do.
Joy's hard, right? I've been feeling that one a lot too. I'm like, why don't I feel like I can't process life's joys. I feel like I'm like it's like something's missing almost. Or like I don't know if I never got it because of like childhood trauma and you're always like waiting for the other shoe to drop, like what's going on.
Yeah.
Or if it's like the world fucks you up and you're like, I can't ever expect joy. But like I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Like it's hard to feel joyful. And I feel like I
You have to-
maybe did when I was a kid. I'm not even sure.
I think it requires us to lose ourselves in the moment entirely.
Oh, like flow state.
Yeah, so I get joy when I'm rapping or freestyling or something, or like lost in a nice scene or something, like something great like that. But yeah, the rest of my life, I gotta say, it's like a constant buzz of you should clear that up, you should do better, you should try more, and it's like kind of measuring against, even if it's not exterior stuff or friends or colleagues, you're always measuring against the ideal in your head. So it's like it's hard to focus on what's not going right, which is basically our survival instinct to like fix and take care of problems and watch our back because we're animals. Like we're a lot, like half of us are animals and the other half is like Anunnaki gods that we were like given like half sentientness, but then like our DNA was turned down so we wouldn't like use it to exalt through this experience. And then we're kind of like stuck in this like, I know I'm spirit, but also I have to shit and fuck and eat. And it's like, in order to do that, I need like a house and money. And then you have to manage that.
Right. I need to not have to worry about my own physical safety and existence.
But
all the
I
time.
know, like, most of my closest friends are like creators that like said fuck everything else, just did what they love, and it worked. And now their life is they don't have to worry about that at all. They get a letter from anyone that says you owe me money, and they're just like, yeah, like no problem. Like, because they've just followed this. And I find it 50-50 in my life, honestly. It's been years. I've been given enough signs to just jump in, but also I live with an extreme pragmatist, you know? So it's like you have to stay grounded in third dimension as well. So I know what you mean about like never fully submersing yourself in joy 24/7. I think in order to do that, you have to be
Rich.
a period in your life where, but then even those people create their own fucking problems.
That's true.
Like they complain the most
Yeah.
out of anyone I
It's
talk
true.
to. So
It's
it's
true.
like,
I also
I'm with
want to
Flow
almost
state.
separate joy from happiness, or
Totally.
joy from like joy feels closer to peace.
It's
to
not
me
excitement.
than joy feels to happy or enthused or something
joyful
like that.
expression can be like energetic, but you're right. I don't consider joy to be excitement either.
So almost like ecstatic, maybe, like almost more spiritual to it. Is that what you mean?
There's like more appreciation in joy, maybe,
Okay.
than there is in happiness. I don't know.
Gratitude is the shit, right? Yeah, because you're like, that's celebration with humbleness, with groundedness. Gratitude is like this, and celebration are like, you know, that exalted excitement is kind of like up here.
Outward facing.
Yeah.
Gratitude's inward facing.
I don't care so much for that. It's great for the picture. Do it for the picture, and then but like really just like I'm like, oh my god, like I think I eat like a Buddhist. Like I think about the way that the lettuce was built, the fact that like this lettuce came from a seed, and like nature did this, and now
Right.
I'm eating it, and
Right.
like I had the money to give someone to give this to me and like ship it. Like that's blowing my mind. Like,
Right, like it's crazy.
a salad will make me cry.
Yeah.
Like these olives and lettuce all in the same bowl. Like this is not
Different
Walnuts.
continents.
I'm going like Mexico, fucking avocado,
Yeah.
and like lime juice
Cranberries.
from here, and
Yeah.
fucking salt from Greece, like all this shit. You're right. It's a miracle.
Cucumber.
So I think that it's hard to exactly getting hungry.
Mango.
Ooh, I love
Yeah,
mango.
mango in a salad
We're
is.
getting crazy.
So
You
yeah,
guys like mango?
I love fruit in a
I
salad.
don't like mango.
Really?
I don't like the texture. I know, I deserve that look.
Slurpee.
Anyone who doesn't like mango deserves that
because
look.
it's like
I wish I liked it.
Yeah.
Because
Okay,
it smells so
but
good.
I get
don't
it
like
though.
texture.
The texture I get. I like squishy things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
so,
it's-
but
good for your
and it really is.
Humidity.
It's a squishy.
energy.
Your joy of life. It gives you joy.
Yeah.
Mangoes give you joy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
why I don't have any joy.
You need some mangoes in your life.
You need to eat some other orange, citrus,
Yeah.
mandarin.
I need more fruit in my life.
Yeah.
No, but I think joy exists in moments. In food, sex, music, like, you know what I mean? Like those moments of like,
Joy feels
flow.
calmer
It's
to
all
me
tied
than
together.
happiness does.
yeah, food,
Calmer.
music.
Joy feels calmer
Jo-
than happiness?
To me, yeah.
Interesting.
For
Okay.
me, happy is like there's a little bit of like battery leaving. Like there's adrenals involved with happy.
You're
Like when I'm
performing.
happy, I'm like, yeah, like
Go,
like
go, go.
yesterday when I was acting like a weird little kid.
Yeah.
I was really like I felt happy,
Mm-hmm.
but it definitely wasn't. I understood that it's not sustainable. Like you can't stay there.
Yeah.
Whereas joy, I feel like it's more of a constant.
Yeah, okay. It's a
agree with
state.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I don't know how this feels like a very high conversation. I don't know how we got here, but I like it. Do you believe in aliens?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you seem
For
like
sure.
an alien
100%.
gal to me.
Oh my gosh, guys, do you think
Funny you should
yes,
say that.
please. I would love any alien
humans
insight.
didn't build the pyramids?
No.
It's so dumb that
Well,
people think that.
I think humans helped, but mostly it was alien technology using sound vibrations, right?
That's right.
That raised the blogs.
Robert just said something brilliant. He's like, as a electromagnetic field specialist, we've certainly left a lot of magnet out of the we only measure the electro field.
It's true.
We don't think about harnessing the magnetic
Yeah.
energy of the earth. And then even Rob, who's like very grounded, pessimistic, no floofy bullshit, he's like, and I think there's something inside of us that we haven't leveraged either as well.
Oh, I agree.
Fucking right on.
You're right.
I'm
That's
sorry, I
right.
cut you off though.
Great.
Please answer that.
I don't know what the question
aliens.
was.
Aliens.
Oh,
do
yeah,
you-
for sure.
Have you
All that
rabbit
shit.
holed aliens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah, I spent a lot. When I met my husband, have you guys ever heard the term twin flame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay, good. So a lot of times you say it, people are like, fuck off.
No.
But you two are like, okay, so you understand. Great.
1000%.
So I met my twin flame, in 2010, and that like sent me down the rabbit hole of everything. And then like I've been down, I think every rabbit hole pretty much at this point.
YouTube is dope.
Found most of them true. This was really even before YouTube. I didn't even watch it. It was mostly reading. This was like back
Wow.
in.
That's where information was before
Yeah, we used
YouTube.
to read. We used to read
You had
stuff.
to. You had to go. You had
had
to
to know how to
choose
read.
to go to the library
Or buy the book.
or
if
buy
it's
the
gonna
book.
give you that much joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chuck, I love the library. I want to talk about these beads on your arms.
Oh, sure.
These are so cool. I'm like
Thanks.
really digging the green and pink.
They're actually really old, and I just picked them out. I found them because they kind of match.
Oh,
this.
nice.
And I was like, oh, I have some fluorescent stuff. I made these like a long time ago. I don't know. There's not really an exciting story behind them. These ones I did. I tried to do. I used to have like an Etsy shop. Okay, here's a little story. I used to have an Etsy shop called Penelope's Wrist, and that used to be my Instagram handle for a long time. And so that's where the Instagram handle name came from. Is I randomly chose the name Penelope's Wrist because. Let's see. My twin flame and I used to call each other Penelope and Odysseus. I know it's like super.
Is that because those are your names in another life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. We don't have. It's embarrassing. It's
Don't be embarrassed. I'm right here with you.
a child.
Like I'm right there. It's not weird. Earth is full of Akashic records. You can tune in to however many timelines you'd like to.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We were
appreciate that.
high on some crazy mushrooms, and we both like locked into different people.
We remember.
We like remembered each other, but we weren't Winnie and 11.
Yeah,
it
we
was
remember.
amazing.
Yeah.
Actually, it was an incredible, wild experience.
If you think that your life is
Yeah.
just this one thing you see in front of you, congratulations. Stay there as long as you can. Now
Yeah.
let's continue. Stay there and
it's
live your
true.
one life in your one name right now as best you can. But yeah,
I
for sure.
remembered a past life we had together one time.
Yeah.
Okay, this is actually the story I'm going to tell you because this is a crazy fucking story.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's think about where to start. Okay, so you take this. It was, I don't know what the year was, maybe 2017, 2018. And we, being me, my husband, my daughter, and my two stepsons, who were like, I don't know, probably 11 and 13 at the time, we decided to go to Buffalo for the day. And so
Pardon me.
we drove down to Buffalo, And we got wings at one of the wing places, and then we...
Buffalo wings?
Buffalo wings, obviously. Yeah. And so then we decided to go to the mall to get American sneakers for the boys. Everyone wanted American
Best,
sneakers,
yeah.
right? So we went to the mall. We got to the mall. I went into the washroom, and I came out, and everybody was gone, and so I didn't know where they'd gone. And so I was like, well, they'll probably be in a sneaker store. So I went through the mall looking for a sneaker store. And then I saw the Nike store. So I was like, okay, great, I'll go to the Nike store. And sure enough, as I walked in the Nike store, I could see there along the back wall where all the sneakers were, I could see that they were there. My husband and the boys were there, my daughter, they were all standing there. And so I was like, okay, great. So I started to walk through the store, and the store was set up so that the back wall had all the sneakers on it, and then there were like racks of shoes coming towards the door. And then in the middle, there were benches where people could sit and try their shoes on. And so as I walked past these benches, I'm going to pass this. I looked down, and this little girl who had Down syndrome looked up at me and smiled like the brightest smile I'd ever seen my whole life. And I smiled at her, and she goes, hi. And I said, hi. And she said, my name's Ava. And I said, my name's Tabitha. Nice to meet you. And she said, I'm not here shopping for my shoes today. I'm here shopping for my sister's shoes today. I said, oh, okay. Are you going to get shoes too? She said, no, I don't think so. And then she told me her favorite color was pink. And I told her my favorite color was purple. And then for some reason, I had this strong desire to introduce her to my daughter. So I went to the back of the store, grabbed my daughter's hand. I think she was probably 3 at the time. And I brought my daughter up to Ava, and I introduced my daughter. I said, Ava, this is my daughter, Lucy. And my daughter was kind of shy. She was like, who's this new person that I've never met before? And Ava was like, oh, hi, Lucy. My favorite color's pink. And Lucy was like, my favorite color's pink, too. And so then Lucy went back with her brother. And Ava's mom came by with her sister then. And I just said, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I was just chatting with your daughter. And then I left. And as I left, I heard Ava's mom say to her, how did you know that lady? And Ava said, I don't know. I just knew her. And I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, okay, fine. So then, okay, I'm good.
She just felt like she
I'm
knew
like,
you.
I have to stay calm while I'm telling the story. So fast forward to maybe a couple months later. And I was on like a micro to medium dose of mushrooms. And I was in my basement, and I was organizing stuff for the business. So, like, I was functional enough to be organizing. I wasn't, like, tripping. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden, in the span of about 10 minutes, not even 10 minutes, 10 seconds, I had complete knowledge of a past lifetime in which I was, I have to think about how to say this. I was a temple priestess in an Atlantis temple. Mm-hmm. And I was taken from my mother when I was a very small child, and I had been taught, or because it was noticed that I had powers that were psychic powers.
I'm getting the bumps. This is correct.
Right? So I was taken from my mother, and I was placed in this temple when I was a young girl, and I was raised in this temple to be a temple priestess.
Nice.
And as part of, not so nice, as part of the experience, the priests would routinely rape the priestesses. Like, it was just part of what happened. And so I became pregnant. My past self became pregnant. And I was sent off to a compound to live while I was pregnant until I gave birth with my child. And
because
so,
they couldn't have pregnant
exactly.
priestess that
Right.
were impregnated by the priest.
Exactly, right? So I went off to the compound to give birth, and I gave birth, and I was able to stay with my daughter for a few months. And then when I and then I was taken back to the to the temple, and I became like severely depressed because I'd been taken away from my baby. Like, I couldn't do anything. I just like laid around all day. I couldn't like even do prophecies like I'd used to do. I had used to. So I made plans to escape. And I made plans to escape and go get my daughter and then take my daughter and like run away to another country. And I told one person, my friend, because I needed her help. And so she said that she would help me. And so then the day came that I had to escape and I had to leave. And so I got out of the temple and I was able to get back to the place where my daughter was being held. It was the same compound where I'd given birth to her. She was still living there. And I remember coming up to the compound and looking and seeing light coming through the door. Sorry.
No, this is great.
So I knew that there were people inside, and I knew my daughter was going to be there for me. And so I walked inside the room where I knew my daughter was, and there my daughter was, but she was being held captive by one of the temple guards. And he had her by the hair, and he had her like this, and she was standing in front of him, and he had a knife at her throat, and he waited till I walked in, and he looked me in the eye, and he slit her throat.
Jesus Christ.
And then he dropped her body on the floor in front of me and dragged me back to the temple.
Jesus.
And so, I know, right? I told you I was going to need a second.
Holy.
And so, I only lasted like a few weeks after that experience. And then I climbed to like the top of something really tall and I jumped off. I just committed suicide. 'Cause I couldn't, right?
Yeah. Humans can do that. You can go back.
Right?
Yeah.
But that wasn't the end of it, because it was actually in the next moment that I knew that the guard who had done that was my twin flame.
Oh.
Was my husband now.
What?
And the little girl was Ava from the mall.
You knew that?
I knew it.
It's crazy how you just know that.
I knew it. I knew it.
And that's how she knew you.
That's how she knew me.
You'll probably have another overlap in another life again. We have cosmic times that we bump into each other. Sometimes it skips a life, sometimes it comes back through. Mm-hmm. But there's some point of frequency reference that there's a storyline trying to like unfold.
So we're all just playing around.
And it's connected with someone else too, because I decided I wanted to memorialize the experience in getting a tattoo. And so I can't show you today because I have this dress on. But I have a tattoo on my arm that is a skull and it has mandalas all around it.
Oh, nice.
And so I wanted to get a tattoo that memorialized the cycles of life and death and rebirth that we go through, and that everything is interconnected and intertwined like that.
Yes.
And so I was on my way to my tattoo artist's speakeasy. It was the old speakeasy. It was on Harvard Street.
Oh, yeah.
In the West End. And as I was, it's right near Harvard Collegiate, I think is the name of the high school right there.
Oh, yeah.
Right
Sam
at like
James.
Harvard
The
and
original Sam James coffee
Yeah.
shop is there, yeah.
So as I was driving to get my tattoo, I was thinking about this experience, and all of a sudden I realized there was a huge fight of teenagers happening on the sidewalk. And like, I used to teach middle school. I know the ethos of a fight when I see one. Right?
Totally.
Like, I knew what was going on here.
Middle school.
And without even thinking of anything, I slowed my car. I was driving a minivan. I slowed way down to like 5 miles an hour, and I drove up on the curb into the group of teenagers. And they all like realized what was going on. They were like, "Fuck, what?" They like grabbed their shit and they all ran away. And
Super mom's pulling
I
up.
know, right? And this one kid like grabbed his friend and ran away, and then I was like, "What the fuck am I doing?" And then I got back onto the road and and I was late. I remember it was like 3:57, and I was supposed to be there at 4:00. And so I was driving back. I was driving like quickly down Harvard, and as I was driving, I looked to my left and I saw this kid just fucking trucking down the sidewalk. His orange coat was just flying, and it was like so strange. I just clocked it. And I was like, whatever. And then I drove around the block. I pulled up. I found a parking spot that was really close. It was great. And then I went in for my tattoo. And I told them, I said, like, if the cops show up, let me know, because I want to tell them, like, what happened, because it was so strange. I got my tattoo. I told my tattoo artist about this whole other story, by the way, because I wanted her to know that that was what my tattoo meant. And so then as we were taking a break, the cops did show up. And the front desk guy came upstairs. He said, they want to talk to you. So I went downstairs and I spoke to the cops and I told them what I'd seen. I told them what had happened. And the cops said to me, well, you saved a kid's life by doing that. Like, there was a kid actively getting stabbed with a knife. And if you hadn't driven up onto the sidewalk at the time, he would have died. Like, he would have continued to be stabbed and he probably would have died. He's in the hospital right now.
Holy shit.
And so then I went back in and I told my tattoo artist what had happened, and she goes, just think of this. You weren't able to save your own daughter's life in that lifetime,
Whoa.
but you saved that kid's life today.
Oh, with a knife too, nonetheless.
With a knife, too. I hadn't even thought of that until now.
Wow.
So that's my twin flame story.
And that like drive to just do it, and for
Whoa.
some reason all of a sudden you followed it and you did it, and you're on the sidewalk in your minivan and kids are dispersing. You know, it's like you're like, this is not normal behavior. But when you hear that, it's just too real.
I
You
know.
have to follow it. It's
No,
like
yeah.
rest of life. Well, we're gotta do this now.
That's it.
That's amazing. Holy shit. So we have dharmic cycles. You're definitely doing good work in this lifetime with dharmic cycles.
Thank you.
Yeah, when you listen, that's the key.
That's the key.
And not be trapped in fear. Fuck. And then your story of how things were when religion had its hands around so much that was going on in Earth, and all the like evil that was kind of manifested during those like dark periods. It's also like, fuck, this time period is actually pretty rad.
Yeah.
Overall,
It's a crazy time to be
how
here.
we've been.
I know.
We're kind of stomping our feet because it's like the exact rules and regulations aren't how we think the guide should be.
Yeah.
That's our complaints
There's
now,
just
but
like
it's
always
like
going to be problems, right?
There
like,
is.
As long as Earth exists, I think there's just going to be issues to solve.
Well, they come from the people. As long as there are people here with problems, we'll have problems.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
so true.
exactly.
Wow. So you are actually really acting from a place of intuitive guidance on the regular.
Yeah.
So then tell us what your YouTube channel is focused. Where is your
Yeah,
YouTube
is this
channel
spirit
focused?
or cannabis?
So
Because you got science and you got spirit guide now vibes.
I'm sure that it will evolve because of that. Like,
Right.
And so, to be honest with you, I like to plan things out. I like to have things like really like well set ahead of time before I execute them. Like it makes me feel really good. There's a lot of Virgo in my chart. Let's get this organized. But with this, my inner guidance was like, dude, just do it. Just fucking do it. Just do it.
Yes.
Like,
That's
you've
how you gotta
watched
be.
enough YouTube tutorials about how to start a YouTube channel, about how to make good thumbnails, about how to, do good titles, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm just going to start it. And the thing that makes the most, I actually started 2 YouTube channels at the same time.
Dope.
One was Level Up Bud, intentional cannabis consumption. And the other was Tabitha Fritz alignment, where I was doing tarot readings and vibrational alignment readings and things like that. And because I was like, I don't really know which way I want to go. And so I said, let me just start both and then see what happens.
Yeah.
And so then
love
pretty
that.
quickly I was like, I only have time for one. And I think the one that makes the most sense right now is intentional cannabis consumption, because I think a lot of consumers don't know how to use weed right. Like,
Yeah.
they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like,
kombucha?
No, she doesn't like
I don't-
mango.
I don't like mango. But
Remember
that
when-
is a good kombucha. I like that brand. But no, thank you.
I thought you just didn't like the texture of mango. You don't like the taste of it.
It's okay. You know what? I will have a little bit.
I'll have a
Yay.
little bit too,
I'm trying.
please.
I think it's good to say yes more than no.
Beautiful. Okay, so sorry. So mindful consumption.
So my
You're right.
yeah, like
No.
I feel like there, there's so many people like chasing high THC.
It's nonsense.
And it's nonsense, right? And like who don't understand that like cannabis, and I've said this for years, cannabis is best used with intention. It's a
Yeah.
tool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can, and it's a very versatile tool. You can use it for lots and lots of different things.
Almost everything.
Thank you.
Almost everything. But like you have to be intentional about it.
Yeah.
The same way you do with anything. Like if you use ibuprofen unintentionally, you're gonna
Yeah.
have a bad time.
Yeah.
Right? Like anything. So
And we're a big proponent of the terp conversation, and people becoming aware that it's like a lot more than the components that they're familiar with. We had a coach on.
this is good.
Right?
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, you were
See?
right.
Bless. We had a performance coach on, and I started to make the analogy of like, the THC and CBD compounds are like, fuel. And then it's like, well, who's driving the car? That's terps. And like what it does. And it's like, I got this analogy and people just check out. He's like, I don't know, you lost me at THC. Okay, the acronyms are killing people.
I do think
It's a lot
that,
to
yeah,
keep
there
track of.
we need to figure
I'm
out
like-
a different way to
communicate.
yeah.
And just generally, it's like it all kind of ends up leading to like the premium conversation, the harvest, right? And like just a lot of people, no, you can just like smoke grass and like add THCA and just like get like dirty dick dive bar high. You know what I mean? And it's like, or you could like have like a nicer thing and just have less of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and that's like
A little more nuanced.
Great. And people are like, "What? You mean smoke less weed?" And I'm like,
What do you
yeah,
mean?
That,
Are these words?
yeah. So yeah, like, how are you? What route are you taking? I mean, I'm excited. Go check out their content, and I will too. But like, how do you formulate that conversation with people like in life? Because I know you've been around conferences, you give presentations, but even if you're just like telling a friend or something like that, like who doesn't really know anything and they're completely, blind to this. How do you, like, what's the route? Do you hit them with the terps? Do we start talking choreophyllene, linalool? Or do we go, you want to feel happy and energetic or you want to feel sleepy and you talk states?
So it's usually a good idea to go high level, as much start there, and then like as they want, work your way more detailed, right?
Nice.
So I think usually you want to start by understanding what's the outcome that they're seeking. Are you looking to get as high as you possibly can? Okay. Are you looking to use this to relax after you get home from work? Like, are you trying to sleep at night? Are you like dealing with your anxiety? Are you taking it to get more creative? Are you treating your ADHD? Like, what's going on here? Right?
You need to get hunger going.
Right, exactly. There's all different reasons for consuming weed, right? And so that's going to inform what you would say to them next. And then usually, like most cannabis consumers are smart enough they're a pretty smart crew, so they can understand that there are 4 factors in any cannabis experience, right? So there's personal biology. That's number 1. Like what your body is doing in that moment, your endocannabinoid system, exactly what you need in that moment, right? Like that's your personal biology. That's unique to each one of us. It changes from moment to moment, right? And what yours is totally different from mine. So there's like, I can't ever use that to predict what the outcome of an experience is going to be like for you because I don't know.
There's no blanket statements in this strain does
None.
this to you.
None.
It's like your body, my body, their body, yeah.
Right, like how many times have you like smoked, like I was telling someone about CBG the other day and I'm like, people find it really good for mood lifting during the day. And this person was like, yeah, except for those of us who find it makes us sleepy during the day.
Right.
Which is true, like 20% of consumers find it makes them sleepy.
Yeah.
Right, because it's individualized. Cannabis is personalized. It works differently for every person.
Yes.
Right, so the first factor in a cannabis experience is personal biology. The second factor is cannabinoid amount and ratio.
Right.
That's your steering or your engine, right? Your
The
THC,
fuel, yeah.
CBD, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you have a lot of THC, not a lot of CBD, you're going to go really far.
Yes.
Right? Really fast. Let's go. Buckle up, buttercup.
Yeah.
But if you have a lot of CBD and a little bit of THC, you won't go as far as quickly.
And be
it's more
groovy
relaxed.
kinda.
Yeah, like chill, right?
Yeah.
So personal biology, cannabinoid amount and ratio. The third one is terpene profile, right? And there are some other sensory compounds too, but really it's about terpenes, and that's your steering wheel. Is this going to be uplifting? Is this going to be creative? Is it going to be sedating? Or all the different things that cannabis can be, right? And then your fourth one is set and setting. Because if I like smoke that joint here with you guys, it's different than smoking it at home by myself.
Yep.
The effects are going to be different, right? I'll probably just fall asleep if I smoke it at home by myself. I will. I'm not going to lie. So, right, you have 4 factors, and like 2 of those factors I can tell that come from the product, the terpenes and the cannabinoids. But 2 of those factors come from the consumer.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's so good.
it's an important thing for people to understand.
I completely agree, and I've always said this because when I first started smoking weed, it was definitely like a party drug for me. Like, it was like I was laughing more than I've ever experienced before. Sex felt good, like really indulging in the like
Sensory things.
Yes, and it was after I started smoking consistently that I only understood like the more medicinal benefits that I was receiving from the plant. And so I really believe that there's like quite a extensive or can be an extensive trial and error period for people. And I think that's where I'm losing people who I think could really benefit from the plant because they don't want to go through that trial and error. And like, yeah, I get it. Because if you don't like the way that cannabis makes you feel, what I've experienced over the course of time is like people who really like to feel in control. Cannabis doesn't work very well for them.
It's a new out of control feeling.
Yeah. And they're just like, this feels unsafe, like immediately. And so they have to get past that part to get to any type of medical benefit. And I don't see a lot of people willing to do that.
Are these people only using dried flower, or are they using edibles?
Edibles.
Edibles too?
Yeah.
Edibles are a little bit easier because they're like so dosed.
Yeah.
A lot of times it makes people feel more comfortable because it's more of a replicable experience.
I'm not giving up. I just also, it's matched with stigma energy as well, right? So it's not.
It takes time.
Yeah.
Right? It all takes time.
The programming and also just like making choices beyond yourself for your body, like being a critical thinker. Like this is the original homeopathic approach. Like, you know, so it's like a lot of people are stuck in like, until Mr. John Smith in the tie and lab coat tells me it's a approved approach. Like my fragile westernized mind can't possibly conceive of like treating myself in a healing manner with anything outside of a prescription label on it.
Right.
And like you have, I think, tapped into the gospel here of hash, yes? Because hash is, I'm new to hash, even though it's the oldest of it's the first extract, it's the first thing, and I'm new to realizing, wow, what a fucking thing.
It's so full spectrum.
Yeah, can you tell us about the relationship of hash? I noticed the most holistic high with hash somehow out of everything.
Well, that's because it's the closest extract to the same profile as the plant.
Is that right? Yeah.
So if you think about how hash is made, there are no solvents used there are different ways to make hash, but like let's take bubble hash for instance. They would take weed, and if it's live bubble hash, they'll freeze the weed as soon as it's harvested. So it completely preserves the native terpene profile.
Right.
And of course the cannabinoid profile is preserved as well. They'll flash freeze it and then put that into ice water and use bubble hash screens to, knock the trichome heads off. So what you're left with at the end is pure trichome heads, right? That's it. So all you have are the cannabinoids and the terpenes, and then the other compounds in there like volatile sulfur compounds or esters or flavonoids or things like that.
Okay.
So it is as close to the native bud as you're going to get in a concentrate experience. There's been nothing adulterated.
We're
done
not
to
stripping it of anything through chemical process or anything. We're shaking the trichomes, are the little, some people call them crystals, the little sparkles on the bud that you get, which are just packed with oils, right? That are basically little nodes on the top of a plant that's packed with that good.
That's right.
Is the science of that you freeze it, and then when you place it in cold water, it like breaks off?
Right.
It's
the
so
trichome
sticky.
heads break off because it's cold.
Yeah.
It freezes them, and they break off. And then you have a succession of bags that the holes in them get smaller and smaller and smaller, so that you're filtering out all of the plant matter.
Whoa.
And all you have left at the very bottom is full melt bubble hash. You can dab it because it's just trichome.
That's what Basement Grow Show does, and Tommy, they showed it. And then, is there a process where they cook that in an oven and scrape it, or is that to make
so you
butter?
can take that bubble hash and you can press it to make hash rosin, bubble hash rosin.
Okay.
And then you would want to decarb it if you were going to use it in edibles. So you would put it into the oven. You put the hash rosin in the oven and 245 for 43 minutes or something very specific. I don't know.
Yeah, decarboxylate.
Yeah.
Yeah, what an interesting thing. A process that the cannabis plant put like a little unlock key about this far in, and that's how you have to bring heat. It's unlocked by heat.
Yeah.
It's
it
a
knocks
plant-
off the acid molecule so your body can process it. That's it. That's all decarbing is doing. That's why you have to smoke weed. If you just eat it, you don't experience the same symptoms.
No, I know. Isn't that fucking... You can't just eat a bud of weed.
No, it doesn't work.
You're just like... You feel weird like grass, like you ate a plant.
Right, like I just ate something from my yard. Why?
Yeah. Okay, so it's like what, like, if you think about this being a very mystic plant and like here, like I believe mushrooms themselves were not put here by aliens. Mushrooms themselves are aliens. That's what I think, because it's a living mycelium.
Okay.
It's in this earth, like basically processing and breathing like the quantum field. Like what? Like that's some crazy ethereal energy that's like connected in with the power grid of the earth for sure. So at least mushrooms are an extension of that. That's what I believe.
That's cool. I can dig it.
Like weed, it has divine proportions. Like I think there's something special about when you smoke a joint, whatever temperature that is, it's unlocking something, and it's just the way this dimension was set. It's like fire combusts at that. I don't know what temperature it is, but that it's working. Joints work.
Right.
The best high is a joint for me. I love a good edible. Tough to find because a lot of maybe is it distillate edibles, like they really fucking boom. Like you might as well
punch you in the face with THC.
It's like chugging schnapps.
Yes.
It's like chugging schnapps. That's the type of drunk I get with a distillate. Like anyway, so I really love this. Really appreciate it. But no, the divine proportions of the plant are very cool. So the process of this hash rosin that you use in here is done through that cold water extraction.
I'm actually not sure about this hash rosin. There are different processes to make about this hash rosin, and I don't know about this one specifically.
Fuck, but that's very cool that it derives from hash.
Food grade hash rosin, and anyways, is they call it the ends. So it will be the bigger holes. So it'll capture more of the plant matter, so it's less fine. You want to save the best stuff to dab it or to smoke it, right?
Okay.
So it has trichomes and it has, good stuff in it, but it also has more plant matter. That's what they use for food grade. So when you hear food grade, it means it's not as good. You wouldn't smoke it, but it's totally fine for ingesting and eating. In fact, it works better because you have these little weird little potentiators that you wouldn't otherwise have.
This is what I do with coconut oil for us, and I cook with like weed butter that is just coconut oil that I take. Like we get like sometimes Ben will give us like his pheno hunts like still on the stem, so I'll take all the shake and like the trimmings that we do and just cook that in coconut oil and like afterwards it's green. So I think it's kind of like that, right?
Exactly.
Like it's not like the top colas.
Right.
It's like the stuff around it, but there's still very much value in it.
Yeah.
I like that because you don't want to smoke that, but you still want the value out of it.
Right, exactly. Don't throw it away, right? It's still like there's a lot
waste.
of good to it.
I can't handle waste.
Me too.
Yeah, well, childhood
Reduce,
trauma.
reuse, recycle.
Just fucking can't imagine how much sometimes end of a nice dinner, you're like, oh, I can't possibly that last bite of steak, and then you snap to a point where you're like, what I would have given for a fucking nice bite of steak. So then, like I go there and I eat that for that kid.
Do it for that kid.
No matter where I am.
Yeah.
But also like you don't need to hurt yourself to show that kid that he's safe.
I know. Actually, probably the best thing to do is say, hey, abundance, I have enough. Have you done any inner child work? I'm checking the camera.
And
inner child work, go.
We really like to keep it just light, easy conversation here.
Yes, I've fucking done inner child work.
Yeah, obviously. That's obvious from this whole conversation so far.
You're laying on your bathroom floor sobbing into the mirror because your mother didn't love you enough, right? We've all been there.
We've all been there. I'm sure that it's just wild. Like, we're here in these human bodies and, like, our hearts can break. And they do all the time. And there's no tools for stopping that.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what makes us human. If they didn't, we wouldn't be human.
Yeah.
Right? Because, listen, everyone's parents were, like, doing the best they could, and it was never enough.
Yeah, and
right?
it will never be
We're
enough.
all traumatized.
Yeah, I think about having a kid eventually at some point, and I'm just like, no matter what. Like, I've gone over scenarios because I'm all fucking, like, manifest, you think, you get what you think about all that shit. And I'm just thinking, man, if I really push that on a kid, that'll that can fuck a kid up for sure. Like anything you don't get away with. That's why we're here. We're literally here to, like, I don't know, fucking, we are presented with problems to solve for certain reasons over the course of our life.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, I totally think that you probably
set them up for
chose,
ourselves.
yeah, you chose your beginnings. I feel like it's, look at your past and then be like,
That's
yeah,
what you
that
wanted to
all
learn.
led me to right here.
Yeah.
And right here is, like, pretty good.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting to use the opportunity of insecurities being triggered as a way to explore your predisposition to, like, feeling feelings. Like, what's triggering you? You know, why are you built that way? And then, do you think the awareness of why you're that way helps change that behavior?
Well, I think not necessarily.
Right?
For
It
one
doesn't.
thing, like, just because you're aware of something doesn't mean you want to change it. Right? Like, sometimes, like, my husband will sometimes say to me, like, I don't like this thing about you. I want you to change it. And then, right, like, it's very broad, but in a reasonable way.
Yeah.
And then I have to decide, am I willing to change that thing? Or am I going to say, I understand your perspective, I'm not willing to change. And sometimes they change and sometimes they don't. Because I'm a very, like, this is me person, right? And I have very strong boundaries around who I am and how I allow people to treat me. And sometimes...
Gee, wonder where you got that from, priestess.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Past lifetime, I had to.
Good.
I had to. So if someone asks me to change my boundaries, I have to really see their perspective and understand, like, why I would want to do that.
Yeah.
And then I might do it. But sometimes I don't see their perspective, or I think my perspective is more important to me than their perspective, for better or worse. I don't know if that makes me a bad person. Maybe it does. It's just how I am.
But you can't get around that. Like,
I
you feel how you feel.
I feel how I feel.
And, like, do you believe that that will be detrimental to the relationship, or is there a world in which you both hold these different perspectives moving forward?
See, I believe there is a world in
Me
which
too.
we hold those different perspectives.
Me too.
Sometimes it doesn't feel like
I know,
it
'cause
feels
it's-
like we're not quite there.
Yeah.
Because we both are like, well, why can't you just be different instead of accepting that that's how they are and
Yeah.
changing my perspective on the situation. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I do think that there is a world. I'm striving for it.
Us too. We've in the meantime, we've just both gotten very good at holding different perspectives and, like, being like, you don't see this as, like, a threat or not a threat, or, like, whatever. Like, you know, in life and partnerships, you have to, like, sometimes you want to identify things as the same thing, and you're, like, a little worried. You're like, you don't live in the same reality as me. Basically, you're like, we're living in different
Right,
realities.
we see
Like-
this thing totally differently.
I'm like, that's red, and you're like, no, that's white.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And then it's like, how are we going to proceed as though the rest of it that we have agreed on is still okay?
Right.
And that's basically it.
Yeah.
I think, like, you realize, like, twin flame or, like, double life partner, or not, like, you know, you've seen each other in other lives, like, the compounding dharma momentum you have together, you still have to, like, manage your characteristics in these, you
Meat
know,
suits.
reactive
Yeah.
meaning-making meat suits. Yeah, I feel you on that. That's a tricky one. But, I mean, through the pandemic, we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. Different capacities of relationships. We don't see eye to eye on things, but somehow we managed to just, like, proceed respectfully. I think you gotta have that respect, right? And
That's it.
that bit of distance, that even though internally you're on the same team, that bit of stoicism
Yeah.
before you just, like, wear it all on your sleeve and, like, come off attacky.
Yeah.
Or disagree.
Yeah.
Fuck. Tricky work,
Right?
man. Tricky work.
Yeah.
Gratitude.
Long-term relationships are fun. I like being in a long-term relationship with you.
Oh yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah, it's
It's a worthy game.
yeah.
We're doing God's work.
100%.
It's a lot of work, right? I
It
agree.
is.
I think it's worthy work. I think it's valuable work, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Life would be much easier if I were single.
Sometimes
It would, right? I wouldn't have to make any compromises. I could just do whatever I wanted to do. That would be much simpler.
Dude, totally.
My life wouldn't be nearly as rich or as good, right? I wouldn't choose that life over
Right.
the one I have now.
Yeah.
But it would be simpler.
No, we talk about it a lot because 7 years straight, I went to LA for the first quarter of the year to just like be a songwriter and collaborate and like live that life, and I did, and like there was always an awareness that when I came back, that neither of us were working as hard.
Oh yeah,
Like individually,
when we're
we
apart,
would blast off.
Yeah,
Like-
we do so much content creation because you don't have to tend to this physical relationship.
Yeah.
When we're apart from one another, I think we are both like, okay, well, look at all this time that I have, because you need to tend to a relationship if it's going to last a long term.
It's a garden.
You can't just not nurture it and let it. That's when it fizzles out and fucking
Don't want to let it die.
molds over and like mycelium comes and takes it away. You know,
aliens are coming.
yeah.
They're always here.
Yeah. So I think sometimes people don't realize that about relationships. I think that there's a lot of idealism going on at the beginning of relationships specifically, where both people, and there's nothing wrong with this, it's nice to present your best self, but like over the course of time you will learn each other's flaws.
Right.
And you will have
you
to
sure will.
you'll have to start to make those decisions. Will I mold for this? Won't I? How does that affect the relationship moving forward? Can we move through that? A lot of people are like, oh, we don't agree on one thing, better get divorced. Like,
I know.
it's wild how
Yeah.
we can't live with differing opinions anymore. And that just sounds like such an old white man thing to say, but like it feels that way a lot of times.
Well, we gotta have the diversity of thought, right? Like someone said, of course we want diversity of people. That's the best. Damn, food would be so bland. But
right.
lots
Yeah.
of, but
Lots of salt.
the energy, yeah. But diversity of thought, where it's like okay that someone's ideals aren't exactly your ideals, and that you can still like be amicable.
You don't have to physically fight. Like
Yeah.
physical violence, I don't think is necessary
Not
anymore.
the answer.
I think
I
that
don't
we
resonate
can
with that.
still create problems and like,
Solve them. We want a solution.
yeah, like
We're
I think
solutions.
we love,
Yeah.
We want to solve shit.
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
is a solution to me.
Yeah.
Like when you're driven to create something, hopefully it comes with a message of solving something.
Right, exactly. Like filling some need for somebody somewhere. That's
Yeah.
the hope. I think smart entrepreneurs start with the need and then build the product, but the rest of us are like, I'm inspired, so I'm going to build something and hope people come to it.
Oh my God, speak on it. That's so true with the
cute.
MBA. Let's go. Hold
It's
on.
like, it's bad, right? I do the same thing. I'm like, oh, I'm so passionate about this thing. I'm going to build a business around it. And
Me.
like, don't do any market research. Don't validate my idea at all. Like,
Buddy.
I just get so excited. And then within a month, I'm like, oh, I can't sell this to anyone. I better stop.
Every creative ever hears you, because it starts off, the enthusiasm to create starts off because me.
Right.
You're your best customer.
Right.
This is like for an internal reason, right?
Yep.
Like first, this is solving. So that's the best way to start, and you have to. It's me. But then once you go pro or you try to give to a market, you got to remember, it's not about you anymore.
No, it's about the consumer.
ideas are sexy too.
Oh,
Right.
You ever
alluring.
just fall in love with your ideas?
Everyone
good
has
point.
ideas
It's
too.
true. It's
Everyone
true.
has ideas.
Not everyone. Let's
Yes.
be real.
Everyone, but no one wants to do it.
Yeah,
That's true. We all
Like-
have ideas, but doing it's a different story.
I've just always been such a quick activator. Like, get it going.
And then you just quit.
and then learn. No.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I love to start a project.
oh, yeah.
But that's about it.
No, this podcast is one of those for me. I'm just like, I'm going to just do this. And then I was a bullied kid, so if something pisses me off or hurts me, I'll like get like jokery on it, where it's like, I'm gonna kill you. Like,
Right.
I'm gonna fucking fuck you. Like, you're challenging me and showing me a weak part of myself. Like, my consistency was trash with all other content. Never, like, this made me like a week deadline. Like, I had to put it together. And I was just like trash at everything. Like, I knew nothing about graphic design in terms of composing it, like making it look nice or anything. This just like kicked my ego's ass, constantly, still is. Like, just like trying to make the clips better. So I like that whatever humbles me and kind of scares me, I kind of get addicted to like chasing after. Like, that's why I love stage performance, because it scared the shit out of me. The idea to start stand-up comedy, it's like it rattles everyone to the core.
Yeah.
Like, even comedians, it still shakes their insides. Like, but
In front
I'm
of
like,
people judging you, asking them to judge you.
like, if anything that scares me or hurts me, I just like kind of run at, and then I learn along the way. And yeah, so it's like this podcast has just been like compounding. So much like I'm sure your YouTube journey is going to go, where you just like start like refining things more and more, and like judging your past self and wanting to see a better version, and like, you know, putting that focus into it that it takes to be. But yeah, shit is tight.
Is that your lane right now? Or are you in that?
So much needed.
I'm gonna do this YouTube.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, like I have. That's what I'm doing right now. So
Sick.
I have no idea where it will go, or really. Right now I'm just committed to trying to get out one video per week.
Yeah, that's where
that's
it
my
starts.
goal, and so I'll just like, honestly, I feel like, you know, like in Indiana Jones, where he's like trying to cross the chasm, but he can't see the path in front of him, and he just has to take the step, and then it appears.
Totally.
That's what I feel like I'm doing right now.
That's life. That's what
That's
I
life,
say.
right?
Like, it's, you have to, like, you're stepping into nothing with the trust that the ground will meet
Will
your
appear.
step.
Yeah.
And like, that's being an entrepreneur across the board.
Yeah.
I think, because even if you build a successful company, it's like, great, okay, next.
Yeah.
Like, that's the
Yeah.
real thought process, is like, you're kind of like a starter, so you're always on the leading edge, so it's always going to be a little scary.
Yeah, it is. And like, but to be honest with you, the last the year and a half that I sat alone in my office that was like fucking freaking out, it prepared me for this. This is not so scary.
you go.
At least I'm moving now.
Yes.
So I don't know.
Yes.
We'll see where I go. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's gonna
Same.
happen.
I don't know either. It's kind of fun and
I agree.
exciting.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
No.
Who knows
Yeah.
where we're gonna end up?
It's gonna be
Subscribe and tune
somewhere.
in.
Like and subscribe.
Yes.
This has been such a fun conversation.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
agree.
Oh my
I agree.
gosh.
You're so wonderful. You're delightful.
Gee, I feel like we did a whole lot of topics that were unexpected. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go?
I really needed this.
No, listen. I knew that we would have the conversation we were meant to, or
Yeah.
that we needed. So that's fine. It's kind of like a fish show. You get the fish show you deserve. You get the podcast you deserve. So
I love that.
it's great. No, there's nothing else I want to talk about. I love you guys. You're great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Too, buddy. Thank
thanks
you
for
so
coming
much.
on.
Yeah, we will put your info in the description, but where can people follow you online if they're listening in audio?
So what platforms are you on in audio?
Spotify.
Oh, so
all
like
that. But
where-
like, they'll find you on Instagram.
I
Say,
see.
what's your
so
handle?
you can find me on Instagram at level up bud. Like, hey, level up bud.
Hey, level up, bud.
Level up, bud.
Hey, bud.
Hey, bud, level up.
Cheers, bud.
Level up.
Love it. Okay,
Awesome.
cool.
And that's also my YouTube handle, and the website is levelupbud.com.
Oh,
So
love it.
it's
Go
easy to find.
get educated, scoop some game on how you can interact with this miracle plant. I'm so going to enjoy these. Thank you for
Yeah,
joining us.
enjoy.
you.
They're super
I will.
good.
You're the
Enjoy the
best.
CBG ones. They're great.
Uplifting. If
Yeah.
that's the type of endocannabinoid system I have.
Yeah, maybe they'll make you sleepy. They
No,
might be like,
I think I do get the
Okay.
uplift.
Yeah, I get it.
Right.
I'm an
Probably some of
uplifter
it.
too with CBG.
great.
Yeah.
They're perfect.
It's so nice. Oh, it's so nice.
so
Improves your
good.
mood.
It really does.
Hello.
Right? It really does.
'Cause similar to like a microdose of mushrooms with less like wavy.
Right. Yeah.
A little more stable emotions. Okay, love you guys.
Bye.
Bye. So fun.
That was awesome.
Welcome the disciplined stoners, the gateway drug to mindfulness. Look deeper.
To think that we started this podcast to fight a stigma, only to uncover so much love that we realized that you can't put your energy anywhere but what you want.
Look deeper.
And what we want is authentic conversation. What we want is quality medicine. What we enjoy is each other.
We get to learn from our guests. Manage the best. I would manifest this.
Part of the magic of the plant is how it uncovers what you've been hiding away.
So much love.
Look deeper. Feel more. Tune in.
So much love. Look deeper.
We're not here to be lazy.
Welcome to Disciplined Stoners.
We're not here to distract ourselves.
The gateway drug to mindfulness.
We're here to learn. We're here to grow.